Hi, I'm Mary Porter, and I've got the president of Looking Glass Peyote Church of Oregon right here, Sara Barton. We are going to start a series of um, videos to help people understand a few of the things that keep being, we get these questions and these things that keep coming to our attention. And the best way that we can help is we'll start from what I feel is the foundation of how it is that you can start feeling better and understanding where you stand in nature and in reality. So we'll get started. Sara, if you'd like to say a few words, that'd be great.
Well, I'm Sara Barton, and my tribe is Mono Lake Paiute in Yosemite Miwok from California, and I'm living in Burns, Oregon at this time. So when my sister and I got together, Mary, and decided that we'll just share what we do for ourselves and how we're trying to make things better for us as we live this life in this reality, and that how it will influence our future generations, our grandchildren's, and how much what we do in our life will affect them. So that's why we're doing these videos, and just to share. And if you take it, you take it, and if you don't, that's up to you. But this is what we decided we were going to do and have fun doing it. So, and it's an honor to be here with Mary Porter. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, we'll start. I was looking at this chart today, and I think we should start. I think we should start at the end because I hear, there's a lot of anger and people holding grudges in the world today with what's going on with, the war in Russia and all of that.
Right.
So,
Right.
I think one of the things that, we need to make ourselves aware of with these dimensions is, starting with anger and grudges. When you're stuck in the third dimension, you feel like your anger and your grudges are justified. This anger that a lot of people are feeling right now is a projection of what's going on in the world with the war. You understand, that your feelings and emotions are weapons that came with Christianity. They taught you these feelings and emotions so that they can trigger you to behave the way they want you to behave about these things. Well, that's their projection.
Right.
So, and then once you understand that anger and grudges are a third dimensional reality, which the third dimension is gone. Okay, we're in the fifth dimension. The world has changed. We live in an evolutionary reality, and so we no longer live in the third dimension, but there's a lot of people who are hanging on because they don't understand that the world has changed. For some people, they're leaning, when you start leaning towards understanding that you have to forgive to change the direction of your life for better. you're starting to understand that anger and grudges are
Mhm.
they're no longer part of this world.
Mhm.
So you start thinking of forgiveness. And then, forgiveness is another one of those, things that aren't part of natural reality. Forgiveness is something that is taught to
Mhm.
us. Um, when you have an absolute issue in your life, okay, I fell down and I broke my arm. There's, there's nobody to blame for that. That's just what happened.
Mhm.
There's no forgiveness. And this goes for most things in your life, is that it's a matter of accepting the reality of what has happened. There really is no forgiveness. That's just an excuse for you to hang on to whatever it is that is bothering you, instead of
Right.
accepting what it is. uh, there really isn't a thing. There really isn't a thing called forgiveness. There really isn't.
Mhm.
You have to accept reality for what it is. And making up words and definitions for words that are going to justify hanging on to these dimensions that no longer exist, that's not going to help. It's
Right.
just not going to help.
Right. Right. Yes. Yes. Um, and as we talked before, I, look at it like there's this box, and John Trudell talks about it. But I look at there's bigger boxes, and again, it's, religion, um, uh, it kind of keeps you in a box. It has its rules and it has its regulations. It has its fear, shame, blame. It has all of that in this box, and that's where they try to keep you, is in this box. And to me, that's like a third dimension way of thinking personally. And forgiveness is in this box. And as we talked about it before, knowing that, again, I'll repeat myself a little bit, that, we have traumatic things and issues that happen in our life. And you hear the therapists or these people say, well, you need to forgive. And I've even said that to people before I realized, well, this don't make no sense. Oh, forgive. Well, they may not know how to forgive. They really don't know what the meaning of forgiveness is. To me, it's okay, you have these issues going on, but it's your responsibility for the feelings, the emotions, and your responsibility and accountability to heal those feelings and emotions so you don't stay stuck in that trauma and in that situation or in that box that keeps you sick. So that's why it's like take accountability, take responsibility, and help heal those feelings and emotions so you can let go. And that's always going to be a part of your life. That's your history. And when someone says, oh, you just, I'll get rid of it for you, I'll take it from you, I don't want nobody ripping my heart out, by doing that, because that issue, that thing happened to me, that's part of my history. But I can learn to live with it and heal it so that I can move on and be who I am. Does that make any sense?
It does. It does make sense. It does make sense. And then you've got to, and then you got to go back to the, feelings and emotions are learned behaviors. These are not
Right.
things that are in reality. These
Mhm.
were taught to us by the conquerors, by the colonists, by, feelings and emotions. they're just taught to us as, I call them weapons. They're spiritual weapons that we use on ourselves on a daily
Right.
basis. And
Right.
people use them against you on a daily basis. They want to make
Right.
you feel, well, in nature, if we were deer, you see how they move through the forest. They're sure-footed. They know what they're doing because they're not projecting their fear into their life. That it's not part of natural reality. These emotions, fear, anxiety, all these things are not natural. These are taught to us. These
Right.
things are, they're spiritual weapons, and we have to quit using them against ourselves.
Right. Right.
Of course, I feel sad about things. But I have learned to sit through my feelings and emotions and focus on the truth of the matter. Okay, I'm feeling sad. I feel sad because I didn't grow up in my homeland, and I'm just now learning, who my people are. Of course, I feel sad about that, but I sit through those emotions, and instead of just drowning in all that sadness, I'm doing something. I'm learning. I'm learning 2 dialects of our language. That is how you heal from these feelings and emotions. You sit through and you focus on the truth. Okay, and so you understand that these are not, this fear and this anger and grudges and all these things that, guilt and blame and shame. It didn't come from nature. These are learned behaviors, and they can be unlearned.
Right.
So, there's a huge responsibility we all have to take for our own, feelings, emotions, anger, and if you don't know where you stand in the dimensional realities, how are you supposed to move forward? That's, I read, people's posts on social media, and it's like, you have to pity these people because they have no clue where they stand in dimensional reality. They have no clue that it even exists, that there's something, there's something that's deeper than what society has allowed us to understand.
Right.
But being part of nature, and as I've said before, when you take the sacrament, when you use plant medicine, you are giving your life to that plant, so that medicine can come forward through you as a human being. We're the afterlife. We're the afterlife of the sacrament. We're the afterlife of the mushrooms. We're the afterlife of the San Pedro cactus. We're influenced by its spirituality. So that's, this is why Sara and I are doing our best to clarify for people, because not everybody understands the language of the sacrament. Not everybody understands what nature is telling them, what spirit is telling them every day, but Sara and I do. And we're willing to help whoever it is that asks for help. But I'm gonna ask people to really take responsibility for the questions they're asking. We're asked a lot of things. We contemplate these things, and a lot of times we spend days praying about these things before we answer. So, we really do welcome questions but before you question us, try to understand where you stand in nature with dimensional reality, with your own attitudes. We can only, help people who are ready to be helped, and you can say the words, but if your feet aren't ready to move forward, you're taking time away from people, and taking the information away from other people that really are ready to move forward.
Right, right. And I like what we talked about amongst ourselves when we were talking about feelings and emotions, and maybe one of the things that, and I had to do it, practice it myself once I realized it and talked to you a little bit about the feelings and emotions. Don't make any decisions when you're going through any kind of feelings or emotions, because it will change. So when you make a decision with feelings and emotions, and then you have time to sit down and think about it, you go, oh my God, why did I say that? Or what did I do? Why did I react that way? So one of the things that maybe you could start practicing is when someone says something to you or does something, that you don't like, sit back for a minute, and instead of automatically reacting to it, with feelings and emotions, just practice it and see if you can do it. And maybe it's something you can I had to practice it. I still have to practice it today. So, it's just a little exercise that you might, be able to do is to understand feelings and emotions and how it could be damaging, not only to you, but, to others when you react to it, instead of recognizing it and taking care of it. So yeah, that's a big one. That was a big one for me.
Me too.
A very reactive person. And I projected my anger onto people at times, but what I do today when I'm feeling like that is to sit down, whether it's in nature, and hug the tree that I have in my yard when it quits spitting on me. I have a spruce tree and they love to spit that tree sap. Oh my gosh. So, we have a love-hate relationship with each other, but I'll go out and hug her. But it's taking that time to either meditate or go and hug a tree or sit outside, and look at it, as you say, a blade of grass that might help you, or water, whatever. Just be with nature before you make any kind of decision or have any reaction to someone or even your feelings and emotions.
Especially your own feelings, because
Exactly.
we're for people who don't know, we are our own worst enemy.
Oh yeah.
A
Yep.
lot of people don't realize that. They think it's some guy over there. No, it's not. But yeah, the reaction, the reactionary period is over. That's part of the third dimension.
Right. Right.
And I understand that that's gone, and it is
Right.
hard. It is hard to sit through. It is hard, but it's like I said, feelings and emotions are a learned behavior. These reactions are a learned behavior.
Mhm.
You can unlearn them,
Right.
but
Right.
you have to, you have to depend on your inner guidance. Your spark of life is what guides you.
And to find that truth, that's what you're looking for in any reaction or feelings that you have, as you said, is to look for the truth behind
looking
it.
at the truth, the truth might not look the same as the feelings you're feeling.
Mhm.
And that's a clear indication. That this information that's creating these feelings in you is a weapon.
Right.
Whether you're using it against yourself or somebody is using it against you, you've got to understand these are weapons that are no longer valid in this reality.
Mhm.
The only thing that's hanging us up on these feelings and emotions is so many people are hanging on to it.
Right. Because it's familiar. It's familiar. And it's scary to get out of that familiarity. Is that how you say that? So
Yeah.
they need to start training themselves, learning how to get out of that. Start opening that box that humanity is in, that we're seeing, and start opening that box and start learning about this other dimensions that are out there.
Yeah, seeing reality, seeing reality, that's what's going to, pull down these projections, because that's what the majority of people's problems with their emotions today is, the projections. I mean, turn off your TV, quit program TV, all of that programming is exactly what they say it is. It's projections of how they want you to feel. How do you
Right.
feel about the war going on? How do you feel? How would anybody feel about, innocent people being killed? That's, we don't, we can't be held responsible. And that's what we're, in essence, that's what we're doing to ourselves. We're holding ourselves responsible for the things going on in the world that we have no control over. And there you got your feelings, and these are weapons. These are spiritual weapons, these feelings and emotions, and
Right.
we've got to get a hold of those. I mean, there's a lot of loose energy. You put your, you watch the snooze. I had to tell somebody, they asked me, did you see what's going on? No, I don't see what's going on. I don't watch the news. If there's something that I want to know about, I Google it. I look at, a couple different, stories about what it is that I'm interested in, and then I shut it off. Okay, I had concerns about a couple of things, so I looked at a couple articles that were a little different from each other, but I don't do program TV, because program TV deals with feelings and emotions. They're projecting, they want, when you watch your favorite show, you got these feelings and you feel good and la la la. Well, but then they throw the news on.
Right.
And then your heart falls to the floor. Well, that's not good. That's not good. It's not good for, it's not good for you to, have all these high highs and low lows, because it gives you sort of a, unstable emotional field to work in. And what we can do for nature today is be stable in our thinking, understand what's going on. We might have feelings about it, but hold on to the understanding of the truth of the matter. That's where you can get through these feelings and emotions. Just focus on the facts and the truth of the matters that is concerning you, and notice those emotions, how you feel about it. I'm getting to where a lot of things I don't feel much about it, because I understand that feelings and emotions are weapons. So, you look at things and you look at the truth of things, and that's what it is. It's the truth. It's not something you drag around and have, your heavy heart is that heaviness in your heart. That's a learned behavior. Those are learned behaviors.
Well, and touch bases a little bit too on how control, you look at control, whether it's political, spiritual, there's that control, and that fits in that box. That it's like everything fits in that box, and it is control. If they can control how you think, how you feel, how you react, they've done their job. They, they're doing it. And
It's
that's
a
what we see
constant
today.
thing. I mean, it's a
Exactly.
constant thing. I mean, like I said, I don't watch program TV, but I do look at social media,
Mhm.
and the projections are,
Right.
a gazillion a moment there,
Right.
and
Well, yeah, I'd like to share a story because Roy the other day, Roy and his words, and he likes to create things on Facebook. Well, they've got him so red flagged right now that, he has his opinions about what's going on, with the war and the people. And so and he writes these long, long things, these long statements. Well, he's writing it on Facebook and he's ready to share it, and they take it off. He goes, Sara, he goes, I did it 3 times and they took it off 3 times. I said, well, that's freedom of speech right there. But that's a perfect example on Facebook, how they control what you think, how you think, and all of that.
well, they're
So, yeah,
controlling the projections. See,
exactly,
they only want certain things projected. So they
exactly.
are going to, that's the same with Larry.
Yeah,
He's so, I mean, he's so redlined in
right,
Facebook that he's been in Facebook jail. He has to have a,
right.
he has to have a alias identity to have
Yeah.
a Facebook page. He's banned from
Yeah.
Facebook.
And so what does that create? That creates fear in people who are using Facebook, because it's like, oh, well, if I write this, then
I
I'll get
can't
kicked
think
off.
that because I
I'm
can't
like,
think
what?
that.
What? No.
They're controlling the projections. They
Exactly.
want, and you got to understand that about social media. I mean,
Mhm,
I look at it. I look at it once a day. I try not to
mhm.
look at it more than once a day. But that's the whole. There's very few people on there. You know that project anything good. I try to, if I repost memes that are meaningful, you know,
Right.
that's about as close to projection as I do, but they're all,
So,
it's all good,
yeah.
positive stuff to project out there. It's
Well,
not,
sometimes I like to post something like, history, do your history on this subject. May not be pleasant, but this is the history of this holiday you're celebrating. Learn, educate yourself. I'm not doing it to make anybody feel guilty. I'm just saying take responsibility, educate yourself before you willy-nilly go. And hey, I used to celebrate all these, whatever holidays and stuff before I realized what was going on. I don't want to be a part of that box that we
it's
were
a
placed in.
perfect, these monthly holidays
Mhm.
is a perfect example of projection.
Right.
Uh, January 1st, all Americans or wherever you are in the world, you want to celebrate New Year's. Well, that's not Indian New Year.
Mhm.
We already done celebrated New Year's by the time January 1st rolls around. See, they're projecting because they want you to go out and see these monthly holidays are what we call um, marketing schemes gone awry. They just they were all created for these grocery stores, liquor stores, party stores, whatever. They have these monthly things so that they have a reason to draw you into the store so they can part you from your money.
Mhm.
you know um uh I mean, Larry got a whole bunch of really bad reactions, but when he put on there on Facebook that Irish people celebrating St. Patrick's Day is like Native people celebrating Columbus Day.
Yeah, I posted that too.
And I mean, he got bad reactions from that.
Oh,
Well, you know, it's the truth, and if you can't deal with the truth, you know, they don't even like you to project the truth on, you know,
right,
social media. I mean,
right.
you know, you
So,
know, we got a gazillion people projecting all at once there, you know.
so this is what I was talking about when the government or the states or whatever put up these holidays, or let's honor these certain groups of people for the month, or you know, what that does is it creates a negative effect on a lot of other people. You know, like if they celebrate Black History Month, Native American Month, you know, whatever it is, it creates animosity, anger, hatred amongst those people that are not of that race. So again, they're,
No, it
yeah,
does that because it does that. It creates it creates a hostile environment because it's projecting something that's not true.
right, right.
You know, you know, the whole, you know, this whole monthly holiday thing is so, you know, the reason why our government doesn't mind it is because they get tax money from everything that they get tax money from us driving to the store to buy their crap. And they get tax money from us buying their crap. And they get tax money from us driving with our gas going home. They're making money. You know, you got to understand that they're, you know, it's all about energy and our belief system.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Right.
I mean, we don't need 40 or 50 clothing stores. You know, we don't need 5 or 6 or 7 grocery stores in the town. You know, we don't need these things, but they make it available so they can collect the tax money from what we think we need. You know,
They
and
got
they can make us think we need it by having these holidays, because St. Patrick's Day, everybody has to wear green. Well, everybody run out and buy something green.
mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
you
Yeah.
know, New
I
Year's,
can remember,
everybody run to the liquor store, buy all your booze.
I know, I remember, you know, as a kid, you know, you had to wear green or you get pinched. And I told Roy the other day, somebody pinched me on this day, they're going to get a throat. They're going to get slugged right in the throat. But that was my reaction. And I had to take a look at it like, wow, where'd that come from? But it just, I guess it just really, you know, how people can just fall into, and again, I did it, you know, I did it. And I'm glad I don't do it anymore. And it just created a freedom with me. You know, a lot of people might say, oh, well, you know, she's being Sara. Well, that's good because I want to be Sara, and this is who I am, and this is how I'm going to react. And, you know, this is me. I'm
Not those
real.
millions of people. You know?
I want to be different, please. Oh my God.
But yeah, the
Yeah.
projections, you know, that's a really good example of
Mm-hmm.
projection. You know, I mean, when the winter when the winter's here, you know, well, we live so far out in the forest, we grocery shop for weeks and weeks at a time. You know, so when the storm's coming, you know, you see in town that, you know, everybody goes to the grocery stores and cleans off the shelves and all that stuff. Well, we don't have to do that because we've already allotted for these days.
Mhm.
And their projection of the storm is going to be so bad doesn't affect us, because we know the reality of it is that we've already prepared to have, our groceries for this many weeks.
Right, right,
We
right,
don't, once you can get past the projections, you feel a whole lot freer, and you feel like, I feel like I've got a huge weight off my shoulders, not having to react to every projection that comes my way, and
right,
that's the
right,
freedom of knowing that you're in a dimension where these other dimensions do not exist anymore. So
right,
it's
right.
so much, it frees you up.
Talking about dimensions, yeah, it does. It frees you up because when you're talking about the dimensions, um, it's not, it's a way of looking at things in a different way, in a different reality. You're not living, in that dimension. You're living, you're looking at it in that dimension. A lot of people think, well, where are you going? Are you going into that dimension? Or no, it's a way of looking at things. It's a way of, and if you want to clarify that a little bit more about how the dimensions are, on your way of looking at things. People like, well, because when I meditate, I go into different dimensions. Sometimes I walk out of my trailer feeling like, I'm walking on water or some, or air. I get so high into another realm or a dimension, but it's just my thinking and where I'm at in my meditation and the energy that I get from that. So can you clarify a little bit for the people about the dimension?
Well, what I hear you talking about is understanding the reality of your spiritual evolution.
Right,
See,
right.
this is what a lot of people, and this is what a lot of people, and we are in a constant state of evolution. This is an evolutionary reality. Everything changes constantly, every second to second. And this is the thing. The third dimension has changed. It's just like the seasons change. It's not winter anymore, it's spring. And that's, where we're at dimensionally. That's, nature gives us a perfect example of living in an evolutionary reality, month by month. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, of course, when the snow is gone and the spring equinox hits, we understand that it's spring. Well, we have to learn these,
Mm-hmm.
differences in the realities we live in. And I know it's hard for some people because they've been so layered, and their grandparents did this, their parents did this, they're going to do this. Well, when you live in an evolutionary reality, you
Mm-hmm.
must change. You must change. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
um, if you see an old tree that's standing there, a snag that's dead, well, it too changed. Everything changes in nature and in a natural reality. We are in a constant state of evolution, and we
Mm-hmm.
have to embrace this and not sit and be stuck with this way of thinking. Okay, uh, when you go to school to learn to be a psychologist, we'll just say psychologist, they teach you these ways, and this is, and then you get back into the box of belief,
Mm-hmm.
that this is the way things are, and this is the only way things are. You get out of that evolutionary thinking, and you can't always come up with a solution, because you're only dealing with what you believe, what is in that box. You
Mm-hmm.
haven't, you're not dealing with an evolutionary reality. You're dealing with the stagnant, man-made, this is how you think about this. And so you're not going to have an answer. You're not going to be able to come up with a natural answer to these natural questions, because you're not living in nature. You're stuck in your box of belief. This is all you want to believe. This is all you want to know. And when you cut off that evolutionary thinking, that comes from your spark of life, that thing that started your growth in the womb. I mean, just because we came out of the womb, just because we're growing in nature every day, does not mean that spark of life is not there and not guiding you every moment of every day. And when you cut off that knowledge that is channeled into you by nature, because that spark of life will give you everything that you need to survive in this lifetime if you allow it. And now a lot of people don't. They only want to live by what they see as a successful recipe for a life. Well, you're putting all your thoughts and emotions into this thing over here, this basket of belief that someone else gave you, that they carried around for a while. Well, what about your own evolution? What about your own? You're not living up to what nature has put you here to do. And in nature, in a natural reality, when you are no longer of service to nature, guess what? You no longer exist. So, this, understanding that, this third, fourth, and fifth dimension, that's, we're talking about spiritual evolution here. You can't, if you don't evolve in this life, then that's it. There's nothing more for you in nature.
Right.
Your thinking has to evolve, your behavior has to evolve, and it all runs along these dimensional guidelines. This is how you find out where you are, and until until people can understand where they stand in dimensional reality, and where they stand with the projections that they do themselves to other people and to themselves, you're stagnant. And of course, your energy's going to reach a frustration point, and then you're going to have these meltdowns or emotional upsets. But it's not easy. None of the things that we're talking about is easy. When you have a learned behavior, to unlearn it is extremely hard, and you have to be dedicated to this understanding.
Yeah,
you will evolve, but you have to get a hold of your emotions, your feelings, your guilt, your blame, your shame. You've got to get a hold of those and understand that these are weapons that are used against yourself, and you use those against others. And that's not within the laws of nature.
Right. It's an individual learning, teaching way of life, is that spiritual evolution. And one of the things that I noticed, even with the Native communities, is people will project their beliefs, their ways. And I know there's a foundation of a tribe. The tribe always has a foundation, a tradition, a culture. But yes, I understand that. I respect that. But I'm not going to do things the same way as you are or anybody else out there, because I have my own personal spiritual evolution, but I do have a base from my ancestors. And when I see people standing up there, and saying, well, you have to do it my way. This is the way you have to do it. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
People that even in religions, you have to do it this way. You have to do it that way. It's like, oh no, I'll get even today, and I don't know, but even today, if someone stands up there at a service, and I've done it, and you're paying respect for someone at their service, right? The funeral services and stuff. And that's why I sit in the back, because when a person goes up there and it's not that person who just passed on, I'm there to support that person, the family. But when someone gets up there and starts saying, you've got to believe in this, this way, that Jesus Christ or God or whoever, when they start saying you have to and you should, because and they go on and on, I get up and I leave, because I don't want to be there and be told that. That's not my way. So I kindly will back out of that room and say a good little prayer and a thought for that person that's laying there in their family. But I can't do that. I can't sit there and just listen to that without the feelings and emotions that I have to go home and meditate on.
Yeah, the projection.
Right.
See that what you're feeling and you want to get out of there. Those words, those feelings and emotions that they're projecting onto other people, that's not right. That's you.
Yeah.
That's you don't. Well, you kind of see it. You kind of see it in nature a little bit when like when a rabbit sees a fox or a wolf. Just the sight of that projects fear into those animals.
Right.
But that's a natural reaction. It's not projected on them.
Right.
Right. When it's like, all of a sudden you see something, that wasn't there before. Okay, so you had a reaction to that image of something that you saw. Okay, well, that's not a projection. You're dealing with reality. When people say you have to feel this and you have to feel that, they are, the best way I can describe that is that, we're in a place where spirits get eaten, and by projecting these thoughts and ideas out to people, they're like putting out their wish list of what they'd like to eat in your emotions.
Right.
They want to, people can get over this spirit eating thing, but you have to understand that's what you're doing before you can deal with it, because it's very rude to begin with. It's extremely rude. But until you understand, these feelings and emotions, the reason why Christianity taught us this is because that's where spirit eating comes in. If you don't have these spirits and emotions and things for them to feed on, what are they going to have? They've got to deal with reality, and they don't want to do that. I mean, that's above their pay grade. So you got to understand, that's the other thing you got to understand about people that are unevolved, that refuse to hear the call of nature, and that's another really sad point that I want to get across to people about nature. Think about what you do naturally. Okay, I feel like I need to eat, so I eat. That's a nature. That's your nature telling you to do so. Got to go to the bathroom. That's your nature. Got to go number two. That's your nature telling you. You know, nature will tell you a lot more than just those few little things if you just stop the projections, stop with all the belief that someone else knows you better than you know yourself. Because that's where, you know, that's where the projections work on you. If you don't understand yourself well enough to know that these are projections, well, you're going to be a victim of projection for as long as you'll take it. But the minute you stop dealing with those projections, well, you know, of course, I've gotten to a point where, you know, a few people I know, they don't project on me anymore. They're really quiet because all they've got is projections, and I don't want any of them. They don't affect me, you know. And you know, a lot of times when they project on you and you don't accept it, guess where that energy goes? It goes right back on them, and then they're confused, and then they're upset, and then in my case, I'm always the bad guy because I didn't accept the projection, and now they feel bad, so they're going to try to make me feel bad. Well, it doesn't work because, you know, I know it's a weapon.
Mm-hmm. Right, right. I'm glad you said that. You know, I'm glad you said it was used as a weapon, and that's
Yes.
exactly what it is.
It is. And you have to understand that these projections, I mean, people do it habitually. You know, they do it to their children. I expect you to grow up to be, in my case, my grandmother expected me to grow up and be a Franciscan nun. She was projecting her reality on me.
Right.
And even from a very young age, I did not accept projections because I knew they weren't part of reality.
Right.
And you know, some of us are born with spiritual integrity. I mean, that's probably why I wasn't, you know, so popular as a child, because I don't do projections, never have, always have, spoke out against them, you know. But that takes, you know, it takes spiritual integrity, and you know, you can build this up. You know, you can build your own spiritual integrity up by recognizing these things. You know, and then maybe when your grandchildren are born, they'll be born with the spiritual integrity. Right. Because you already had it. And the fact of the matter is whatever is part of you, your children will have those behaviors when they get older. You know, I lived a very violent life when I was younger. I've amended that. I've changed that, and I can see the change in, you know, whether I speak to my children or not. I can see the change in them. You know, they don't have the burden of dealing with my, you know, spiritual injuries. And that's what, you know, that's the main reason why we all need to, you know, grasp onto this evolutionary reality and understand that everything changes. Even, you know, even rules and, you know, human laws will change once we start accepting this evolution. See, they've got this power over us now, because there's so many people who have no idea that they have this, you know, this evolutionary reality on their side. They think that all they can do is follow what they're told, you know, and believe what they're told, because they have no, you know, they've been so removed by generations and generations of non-believers. You know, and these people, they don't believe in nature. They think everything comes from them, you know, and it doesn't. We're afforded what nature gives us, and that's what we get. You know, I've had discussions with people. Well, why are some people so stuck? Well, it's because that is all nature will afford them, because they're not dealing with reality. When you don't deal with reality, nature will only give you what you can handle. And that's where, that's where the change comes in. If you understand where you are in these dimensions, and maybe you can grasp the fourth dimension and start seeing the fifth dimension, well, nature's going to understand that you are working for your change. You understand now that we're in an evolutionary reality, and nature will help you. But you have to start it yourself. You have to understand where you are in these dimensions, and you have to amend your behaviors and understand these projections. They're harmful to you, they're harmful to others, and they're no good for the rest of the world. I mean, that's what this propaganda on program TV. They want you to feel these things because they need these emotions to keep this war and these feelings that people are having going, because they can keep the doubt in the minds of everybody. As long as they've got you off balance and you don't know where you stand, and you don't even know that there's dimensions that we live in, well, they got you, and only you can free yourself, as you well
Right.
as you well know, Sarah. I mean, we keep ourselves in our own little, well, you met me when I was still a biker. I was at the end of my my biker phase of life. And
Right.
you only stay in it as long as you hang on to it.
Right. Right.
My
Well,
evolution came,
right.
you know.
Right. And it's a learning process for me every single day. I'm learning new things, and it's wonderful because I have that freedom of that spiritual evolution of who I am, and it's wonderful. It's a freedom. And one of the things that on the third, fourth, and fifth dimension is, I wanted to read this, and one of them is, let someone else take control. It's so easy for us to let someone else take control because we can blame them if it doesn't turn out. That's the third dimension way of thinking. The fourth dimension way of thinking is takes control. You take control. And then the fifth dimension way of thinking is you surrender control to higher power. And that is such a freedom. That is such a freedom when you're able to do that.
Yes.
And that's exactly what's happening today. Even in the first line in the third, fourth, and fifth dimension chart, obey rules, obligations, and traditions. That's the third dimension. The fourth dimension way of thinking is question rules, obligations, traditions, and decide on your own. The fifth dimension is follow inner guidance. And again, that is such a freedom for me when I look at that. It's a freedom. It's like, oh my God, that 1,000-pound weight is off my shoulders, just to do those simple things. But I had to learn how to do it. And how I learned how to do it, not only through my life, you look back and go, oh, wow, that's why that happened. This is okay. Thank you, universe. I'm sorry I didn't see it back then, but I see it clearly now. And it's through my meditations, nature, sitting by the water, sitting outside, looking at the stars, doing that is like, oh, it makes sense. There's such a freedom. I don't have to be a part of that box anymore. And I love it. I love it. And as I'm doing that, again, it's going to pass down to my children and grandchildren. Because I'll see things that my youngest granddaughter will say, and it's like, oh, I remember talking to her about that. Or where did that come? I know where that came from. I know where that way of thinking came from. It's me trying to make amends for that part of the stuff that I did back in my day, you know, and trying to make it good for making amends for myself and live this freedom so that my grandchildren can live this freedom. And that makes a, you know, I get the chills thinking about that. Yeah, it's amazing. But to go through the chart and look at these ways of the different dimensional way of thinking, or that spiritual evolution, is just, it's a freedom. It's a freedom. I don't have to be in that box. And I don't have to fear, you know, I don't have to have that fear of, oh my God, if I do this, this is going to happen. It's like, bring it on.
Projection, we do it, I did it a lot. I survived on projection when I was a biker.
Yeah, well, yeah. Intimidation.
Hey, yeah, it worked. It worked during that dimensional period. But I understand that that I have evolved and that dimension no longer exists.
Right. Right.
It exists in the minds of some people who are still scared of me. It doesn't exist in me. And this, the whole, going from the third dimension to the fifth dimension, that's your spark of life. That's the thing that, that grew your hair, that taught you how to, grow teeth and gums and skin and eyeballs and all of that. That's that inner guidance is that spark of life that started your growth in the womb, and it continues to guide you throughout your life. People call it intuition, but it's not. It's your spark of life that has given, it will give you everything. It gives us everything we need to survive this life for as long as nature has put us here for. Whatever it is, whatever it is, our spark of life, we just have to, embrace the knowledge that is still growing within us. It hasn't stopped since we came out of the womb. That's when people have doubts about what's going on, or, how their life is going. That's because they haven't given enough gratitude and credit to their own spark of life. That's you have to respect yourself, and you have to give respect to these parts of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
When you have a deep respect for what your spark of life has done for you, and I count those, I count those things. I lay in bed in the morning, and that's one of the things I think about. It's all the wonderful things that my spark of life has not only given me, but given the people around me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, you when you think about it, the people around you, are, like your mother. That what goes on with you emotionally, and what's going on with your spark of life, affects the people around you, because it's energy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, everything that we do, everything, our thoughts, our feelings, all of that is energy. Our memories, that is energy that lives in, within the cells of our brain. This, I talk to people about PTSD. Well, that is, those memories and that PTSD is energy that you haven't digested, and you want to hold on to this guilt, blame, and shame, this weapon. Well, PTSD is a weapon that you use against yourself. You take that, and you disregard the knowledge of what actually happened, because you have these feelings and emotions that override everything that's going on with you. And that's, that's where PTSD gets a hold of people. It deals with feelings and emotions and memories that they're energies that haven't been set right in your mind. One of the things that I've worked with some combat veterans about their PTSD is you sit them in front of a fire and let them go ahead and tell you about their experience that they had that has been disrupting them all their life. And the results that I have seen is that when these thoughts come up again, after we've redigested them in front of a fire, well, what they come up with is basically a warm feeling of, and that's changing that horrid traumatic memory to something better. Okay, so when they start feeling about these issues with their PTSD, they think about sitting in front of the fire. It's not the traumatic injury that happened to your psyche. It's been healed. It's like you gave it aspirin. It's not the same. You come back with these thoughts of, okay, well, you think about your PTSD experience of things that drug you down before. Well, then you're thinking about, oh, well, I was sitting around the fire with, Mary and Sara with tea. When your mind recalls that what you've been injured with your PTSD, Peter talks about it a lot, that, a lot of things have changed for him as far as feelings and emotions with his memories, because he's redigested them, sat in front of a fire and discussed it, in depth, or sat in the sweat. When he first started coming here, it was before my immunotherapy, so I could sweat, and you sit somebody down in the sweat lodge and let them go ahead and tell the rocks your problem. Go ahead and tell what's, say out loud. That's energy. When you speak, that's energy. So there's a healing process to it all. With dimensional realities, know where you stand. Are you stuck? Do you feel, a lot of people say, tell me, well, I feel like I'm stuck. Well, you probably are, because you keep saying you are. You're projecting a reality.
Right.
Stuck. One gentleman I told, start projecting the reality that you're working on it, that you're working to understand it. Don't sit there and say you're stuck, because you will be. Right. Tell yourself you're working on it. You're working to understand this. Don't stick your feelings in a box and this is where I am.
Mm-hmm.
Use your energy. Use your energy. Think
right.
forward. Don't. When you tell yourself things, your spirit hears you. When you say negative things about yourself, your spirit hears you, and you tend to make that your reality, because that's what you're telling yourself. That's people have to learn how they are, where they're at, mind your words, how you phrase your feelings, because feelings are subject to change without notice. But when you deliberately, and a lot of people do this to themselves, they deliberately plant this in their psyche, and they have their own stumbling blocks. Well, I can't do this because I'm a female. I can't do this because someone told me I can't. Well, you're doing that to yourself.
Right. Right.
So
yeah. I remember you're talking about the self-talk and how we look at ourselves. And one of the things that I had to do is when I say my prayer before I get out of bed, I give my thanks and acknowledgements. And then I had to start saying, I love you, Sara. I love you, Sara. You're a good person, Sara. And it was hard. It was like, oh my God, I felt embarrassed at first. I felt really weird. But now it's like, you go, girl. You got this today. I love you. And it may start out with small steps like that. But that self-talk can really, really keep us in that box. It really can. So.
Well, and that's what, and this is what, and this is what all these monthly holidays that are made up, all of these, things that are on program TV, that's what it's all about confusing our own self-talk,
Right.
And we're the only ones that can relinquish our power to anybody else.
Right.
Whether you're
Right.
knowing you're doing it or not is beside the point.
Right.
A lot of people don't realize that they are,
Well, for sis, like, when people would come and, do the sacrament at your place, their expectations were like, okay, I'm going to go there and she's going to tell me everything I need to do. So they're kind of shocked when they take the sacrament and they go sit out by the tree or out in the camp meadow area that you just set them, and they had no idea what to do with themselves. And that was part of the medicine. But people did not understand. They were looking for someone to tell them, to show them, what they needed to do. And so that was a big shock for these people, and half of them didn't get it, and some of them did. So it's like, again, there's that third dimensional thinking. I'm going to let somebody else tell me and show me and tell me how I need to feel and all of that, so that if something doesn't happen, if I don't get it, I'm going to blame them for it.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
it.
So,
and that expectation, that's just another word for projection. You're projecting what you think reality is going to be, and if you're a clear thinking human being, you must know that someone who has never met you or never talked to you before is not going to be able to help you with your problems.
Right.
I've had people come here and say, oh, you're a medicine woman, you're this, you're that. No, I'm not. You're projecting what you think I am. What I am is a clear thinking human being. That's what I am.
Right.
I'm not a medicine man. I'm not a shaman. I'm not all these other things. I'm just a clear thinking human being. That's all.
Right. Right. Right.
That projection, that projection of, I'm going to go over here. I'm going to go over here to this Peyote church and I'm going to know what all this person's going to help me know it all about myself. Well, I can't do that. The only person that's going to help you know yourself is you. That's it's a European way of thinking that you can go over here and someone's going to fix you. Also, what we do here is what our mission here is to help you connect with your own spark of life, so you have your own answers to your own life, because you're the only one that does. We can help, we can help you understand where you stand in the dimensions. We can help you understand things, but we can't do these things for you. We can't help you get over your fear and guilt and blame and shame. These are things that you're going to have to fix, on your own, know that they're the only person in this world that can help you do that is your own self.
Right.
we'll give you some helpful tools and helpful hints, but all the work, all the work has to be done by you folks, and
Right.
your thinking. Well, we can all make this a better world if we understand where the hell we stand in the dimensional reality of things.
Right.
It's just
And as you say, in your spiritual evolution, where are you at? Even if you have a question about what is spiritual evolution, well, if you don't get it by the time this video is over, listen to it again. Go sit by a tree, water, get in touch with yourself, in nature, your spark of life. That's part of it. Oh my goodness, yes. So, yeah.
my favorite helper is the blade of grass. That one blade of grass sets me straight real easy. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, but that's that's what we need to get across for our first episode is we need you to understand where you are in dimensional reality, and we need you to understand what your personal projections are, what be able to distinguish when something's being projected on you. I mean, because these two things, shows your spark of life, the thing that, keeps you going every day. It shows that you are grasping your need for understanding your own nature better. If you don't show improvement to nature, if you keep acting, by projections, you're missing the whole point. We're here because nature has basically prescribed our energy here today to do a specific thing. And if you don't connect with your own spark of life, you're denying nature. You're denying the course of nature. And anything in nature that does that, it no longer exists. You're creating a future for your grandchildren and your great grandchildren by understanding these dimensional realities and understanding what projections are. I mean, because projections can come from generations behind you. They can come from generations in front of you. You got to understand that you can't, you need to narrate reality instead of projecting your wishes or what you think you're going to do, because that's not reality. That's throwing your energy away when nature needs our energy to do specific things today, whether it's talking to somebody else, whether it's, like Sara and I are doing, we have an obligation, and we take, what we've done with the sacrament extremely seriously. We are the afterlife of our sacrament. We are giving the Peyote our life for an afterlife. This is what we're doing. We're doing what nature has asked us to do. And I encourage everybody to sit back, understand these things where you stand in dimensional reality, that there is a dimensional reality, and some things have stopped. The reason why things aren't working the way they used to is because these dimensions no longer exist. The fourth dimension is about to expire. The third dimension is long gone. We need to respect ourselves and respect nature for what it put us here to do.
Yes, good.
I think, I think Sara, Sara has a really strong connection. You know, she has a lot of things that, and I know, and that's why, you know, that's why I asked you to be in the position you're in for leadership, because you have that. You know, you are taking in from your third eye what the universe is telling you, and it's coming out through your heart and through your mouth. And I understand that, and we all need that right now. We all need it.
Oh, thank you, sis. Thank you. Good, good words. And I can't wait for our next our next talk once we decide what it is, or the spirit decides, or the universe decides on what we need to do. But it's been a real pleasure. I enjoy this. And I love you so much, sis. Thank you. So yeah, it's been an honor.
So I think we're going to use ask.mindfully@gmail.com
Okay.
for any comments, concerns, or questions. I think I can set this up so you could subscribe to our YouTube channel. So we're going to post this up today. I hope that, you know, that we're able to give everyone some sort of basis for a foundation to go forward. I think these two things, dimensional reality and projections, once that integrates with your understanding, then there'll be more intelligent questions. Because without understanding this part of it, you're not going to understand the rest of anything we have to say. So we'll sign off for now, and we'll get this posted up today, and look forward to hearing any comments, concerns, or suggestions. So from here in Sprague River and there in Burns, boy,
Thank you.
we'll see you when we
Thank
see
you. Okay.
Okay, let's see here. Stop share.